Thank you very much. Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our evening seminar on the use of emergency technology in the legal sector. I am Alan Ma. I am a law lecturer at Birmingham City University. Prior to become an academic in 2019, I have been working as an in-house lawyer and in private practice for 20 years. I'm also qualified in engineering and work in the construction industry for many years. I have been a member of British Computer Societies for many years. With me tonight are my students, Taran and Natasha. Taran Akerson and Natasha Lawrence. We are engaging in a research project on the use of emergency technology in the legal sector. Information about the capability and applicability of various technologies is collated and analyzed. Now, I have to say that the information is obtained from the public domain. The ultimate objective of our research project is to use the result for the development of our teaching module, okay? Because we are developing a practice-based, industry-led education module. In the meantime, we are disseminating our interim result in tonight's event. Now, in terms of tonight's event, the format is not 100% presentation, more or less giving a lecture, and it's not 100% we just sit around and talk about it. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid of PowerPoint presentation and discussion amongst ourselves. Okay, so but we do have a structure. We have a structure of our presentation. So, and it is very standard structure. We do the introduction initially, and then I will talk about the digital strategy in legal sector, and also have an indication of what's the available technology. And then I will ask a few questions for my student. They will talk about law firms' digital practices and also development in specific areas. And we do, and I think my students actually do have a formal PowerPoint presentation at some stage. Right, that's our introduction. We talk about the legal sector. It's a huge business. And it's been estimated as more than $1 trillion in 2021. Now, law firm is highly competitive. You can grow, but you could also be phased out. And recently, in recent years, many law firms talk about going digital, and this is actually mainly driven by business requirement. So what are the business requirements? Well, if your customer is actually going digital, and you need to follow that. Okay, so the driving power is partly because of the customer digitized practices. And of course, in a competitive environment, you need to be profitable. You need to cut down your costs. You need to be efficient. So it's a combination of the two factors. And a lot of law firms now going digital. Now, what is the meaning of going digital? I will talk about it in this next slide. But in general, we talk about digital transformation. The scope of this evening seminar is we will cover digital strategy from a law firm point of view. What is the meaning of digital transformation, and what's the a good suitable business model that is actually go with the digital transformation as a business strategy. We will look at the available technologies. There are many of them, and we could actually characterize them into two groups. One type of technology is actually used for fee earner cycle. These fee earners is the fee earner are those who actually do the billing. Okay, they go and generate income. But there's another group, and sometimes they've been characterized as overhead. Now, this is not, I mean, overhead. It is not a burden of the firm. In fact, it is a very, very important role. They play a very important role in a modern law firm. We will also look at the law firm digital practices. For tonight's purpose, we actually selective. We select a few points, we target certain area because it's the entire digital practices in a law firm is too broad. And the same principle applies to the development to the development. Now I will actually tell you later on. The types of technology available for the legal sector is longer than it's a very long indeed. We just pick up one specific area, and this is AI, and this is predictive coding. So this is the scope for this evening seminar. Right, digital strategy. We come across a lot of terminology these days. Everything's become digital. You suddenly may find yourself, your job title suddenly have, you used to be a manager, and suddenly you become a digital manager. Even the consumer items, suddenly there's all digital. Digital clock, it's been around for a long time, but there's a lot of new products. It's actually, there's a lot of old product is now actually got a new name called digital. So what is digitization and digitalization and digital transformation? All this has been used interchangeably, but it has actually got specific meanings. Okay, let's look at it. This is how I see it. It's the trend to start with digitization, and then the thing is actually getting more and more general in a way and complicated in a way. It's called digitization, and finally it's digital transformation. Let's look at what is the meaning of digitization. It is a process of converting information from a physical state to a digital one. An example is actually you go and scan your document. Okay, for example, I think in the 1990s, 1980s, a lot of offices turned into paperless office. So in particular law firms, I remember in the old day, when we actually go into the office, everywhere there are files, because the lawyers see the files, the matters, they are most valuable things in their life. So they actually leave it there, leave the physical files there until the commercial property, the price is actually, they cannot afford to have more and more storage space. And also at the same time, there's a requirement for documents to be kept in an office, that can be recoverable any times when the clients actually come back and ask for it, or any other relevant parties actually come and ask you to, can I have the file which is actually 4 or 5 years ago. So to save space and also improve the recovery process, a lot of firms is actually start to have to scan all the paper files into a CD. I remember in those days, actually CDs. They actually give you a lot of CDs, and they claim that if you actually type in the date, you could have the document in a second. So that is an example of digitization. Right, so digitization is actually convert something from a physical stage to become a digital one. What is digitalization then? So digitalization is actually using digitization to improve business efficiency. So it's making digitized data to work for you. Okay. Scanning a document and convert into a PDF file is an example. You've got a contractor come in and scan all your files and files of document and put it in a CD. In those days, I think it's 1980s. They say, oh, they scan you and put it in the CD. And of course, this day is actually the technology is actually advanced a lot more, and nobody actually use CDs this day. The next item is digital transformation, DT. What is DT? DT is a change of business model to fully exploit the digitization technologies. Okay, it's to make use of it. It has to be using the technology systematically. All right, because it is not easy, because the technology is actually moving on all the time. Your client's requirement also moving on. So you do need to have a kind of business model to control the process, to control how fast, how quick, which direction you need to go in terms of a digital transformation. But in a nutshell, the principal objective is to improve efficiency, improve client satisfaction. And the whole process is, there's a typo here, sorry, focus on improved outcome and create value. All right, so that is all to do with business, all to do with money, and that is actually tied in with the competitive environment in the legal industry. Put it in another way is to get things done in a digitized way. All right, more terminology about digitization. So in terms of getting a digital transformation, you need a business model, and you also need the technologies. And this is what we will talk about tonight. I will talk about a business model, and I think it will work because transformation, digital transformation is to talk about strategy. It is not simply just suddenly everybody is actually use one type of technology. So we talk about business model, we talk about digitization technology tonight. So a model for digital transformation. Now, to develop a suitable, robust model, which has to be flexible, which is actually adaptable, one needs to actually look inside the legal business. What are they doing in the legal practice in a law firm? The way I see it is actually you could actually look at two, you characterize them into two types. All the personnel there. One type is actually called fee earners. Fee earners are those who do the billing, okay? So they generate income. The other groups are those who's been characterized as overheads, support worker, but I would say they actually, quite often, they're actually more important than fee earners. Now, the other requirements for the model is actually has to be self-checking because we are living in a rapidly changing environment. Whether a model is actually suitable for your digital transformation program, your plan, it needs to have some kind of self-checking. Are we heading in the right direction? Okay, and what happens is actually when the environment change, what kind of adjustment that we need to do. So the model itself is actually have this kind of device inbuilt in it, and it is an iterative process. We have to go through a cycle of planning, testing it, checking it, self-checking it. It is a cycle. And if you have many cycles, and hopefully you could actually generate a cyclone from multiple cycles. And that is the theory of growth. Right. So, as I said, there's two types of personnel. One type is we call fee earners. So the fee earners is actually going to life is a cycle, okay? Life is a circle. So first of all, you go and tell the world that how good you are. So you need to say you need to see clients because clients they always come and ask for a quotation from more than one law firm, okay? And you have to actually go there and entertain them. Entertain in a way is actually you have to show how good you are and what's your solution for their problems. So we call it beauty parade. So and that has to be done by lawyers because they know the subjects. They go and talk about it. Then once you actually win, if you actually can win the tender, you get the client's instruction. Once you got the instruction, you have to undertake the matter, and then you have to deliver the matter. And it would be great if you could close your file very quickly. So this is a cycle. This is a cycle. They all done by fee earners. They are the people who do the billing, and they generate pound sign here. For them to do this, for them to actually can focus the attention to perform this cycle of work, the way I look at it, the firm itself also need another types of personnel. They need to generate a protective shield to allow the fee earners keep on spinning the cycle. The quicker you spin, the larger you spin, and hopefully your pound sign is actually getting bigger. And that is actually good for everyone. So the protective shield, wow, it's a lot. It is actually running a business. You need to do the marketing. You need to sell, saying that how good you are. You need to smart up your at least your website, right? And whatever marketing tool you can think of, they are not the same that for the lawyers to actually go to attend a beauty parade. They're not the same, right? And also there's another element called business development. There's certain overlapping, but they are not the same types of work. Business development, it could be the strategy of the business. It could be the ideas of acquiring another firms, or is this a good thing that we actually move into a new area, or maybe you should actually go global and expand another business in other part of the world. That is also linked with opportunities. Okay, it is not easy to say if I really want to go to Bermuda, you go to Bermuda. Usually you have connection. You do have a connection first. Then the law firms and the fee earners and all the and all the others professional, they all regulate by their own professional body. The solicitor is actually regulated by the Solicitor Regulation Authority. There's a lot of regulatory compliance you need. Example like money laundering requirement. Yeah. Okay. Complaints. Well, complaint doesn't mean that you actually perform a poor job. Complaint is actually that's the nature of the clients. A lot of them is actually when complain. A lot of them is the clients they usually is actually start a complaint. It doesn't mean that you are not a good firm. You are not doing good job for them. That's the nature of clients. That is the reality. Insurance, of course, insurance is important. You need to make sure that you have the adequate insurance cover to maintain your business. IT. Now, IT is not digital transformation. IT is actually very technical. Information technology here is very important. You need to make sure that your system is actually reliable. Okay, and today's we got a cyber security has become a big issue. The accounts, it is a traditional one. The accounts for a law firm every year they have to submit the accounts to for auditing purpose and report back to SRA. Know-how, because law firm, you're selling the knowledge, and the knowledge is actually developing all the time, right? So, for example, if you actually got a new case come down from the Supreme Court, and suddenly the law may change, so you do need to maintain an up-to-date know-how department, all right? Because when you actually do this is what is good. This is when you actually do the beauty parade, the know-how department has a big role to play. Okay, training of course is important. You have all this technology, you have all these things, you have the excellent regulatory compliance procedure, you got complaints procedure, but it's no good if your staff is not following it. So training is actually important. Training is also get yourself up to date and make sure that your fee earners can spin the work quickly and get more work. So there's two types of personnel. One is the fee earners. The other one is a protective shield. Development of digital transformation. This is all to do with business. How to develop a model. The models, of course, is business needs. It's what's driven it is actually based on the business need. Some of them is, but most of the needs is actually generated by your clients. Then you need to map the business and the technology, available technology, and the technology you're going to acquire. There's so many technology. You cannot afford to pay to buy all the technology. You have to be specific. And how to become specific? You match with the business needs. Okay, it's selective implementation. And then once you actually implement it, you test it. Is it good? Is it bad? You try to get the actual experience, and then you do your adjustment. And this is another cycle. This is another cycle here. Right. Hopefully, you have a lot of cycle. And you spin it and getting bigger all the time. That's the ideal world, okay? But as I mentioned, reality in the real world, it is not always ideal. But of course, you do need to set up a situation that you could see the good side of it, and you try to minimize the downside of it. That's why I say the protective shield is so important. Yeah, that's the cyclone effect. You start with the circle here, and then you're getting bigger and bigger. You start with a firm in the high street, somewhere in a back street, and then you become a global law firm, right? Scale up, think big, scale up. Your growth is also better survival. It's also substantiability. Available technologies. Wow, it's a lot. Common platform. We talk about platform. We could share platform this day. We also have platform which actually share with the client. We got technologies can do the document review. So the technology used it could overlap. The document review could be machine learning. Machine learning is actually overlap with the other technologies. So the document review, it could be a combination of a number of technologies to achieve the aim. The next items, is this always a big area: machine learning and AI tools, robotic process automation solutions, dedicated programming software. You could actually write specific software to target for a specific task. Legal documentation technology system. You go to now you actually go to high court this day. The law office, the courts is all use. They're all using technology this day now. Gone a long time. Not long ago, you can still see the clerks in the barrister chamber queuing up the court at around 9:45, right? With stacks of lever arch file come with trolley. This is changing. The world is changing. We've gone into technology. All right. So all the judges actually coming and using the laptops this day. Natural language process technique. This is important. This is language is actually very important. I mean, you talk about language is actually could be the translation, or could be more than other things. Blockchain, smart contract, and in fact, in the same venue, in the with the Birmingham branch of the British Computer Society, I actually gave a session on blockchain, smart contract a few months ago. Could be more than a year now. Time flies. So legally binding digital signature. So we are progressing all the time. Now we could actually do the signature online. Wow, this is actually worrying. Automation of legal writing. You could actually write an opinion, asking the machine to write it. All right. So will drafting, succession planning, will drafting. Yes, there's actually some commercially available packages available. Immigration documentation, all this. They all to do with fee earning. How about the protective shield? Protective shield, you could actually think about is the administration. Okay, how you run the firm. So it's a practice management. That's how to run the firm. Case management and analytics. So you also do the case management. Case management is not looking at the legal issue. It's actually purely looking at the documentation. You could actually do the legal research. You could know-how departments now have the technology to search all the precedent just by a press of a button. That's the ideal world, okay? Contract management analysis, knowledge management, business development. As you could actually get information if you, for example, if you want to develop into a new territories, into a new country, you could actually get the information about the background and what is going on in that particular country. Compliance and risk management. This day, if you actually go and check the clients, it is not only showing the your card. You do your ID checking. Now we have a system that is actually called the ID checking. My background is actually I work in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, our main office is actually in England. And in England, they have this wonderful compliance system checking the client's ID. And they impose us that we have to use it in Hong Kong. We have to use it. So we use it. But why is all the clients actually fail? The answer is simple. Because the system, their wonderful system, cannot read Chinese. As simple as that. So we have to go back to the checking the ID manually. All right? But it's easy to overcome. But there's a period of time that we do not have any ID system to check our client's ID. The next is actually accounting. Accounting is another big areas where technology is actually come into good use. Document automation. Yeah, you could actually generate document quickly. Do the scanning because, for example, you do a contract review. Each time you actually make a change, you have all this revision 21, revision 22, revision 24, whatever. So yeah, 21, 22, 23, and then you have 24. Document storage, that's been around for a long time, but we're actually progressing. Instead of storing the data in the CDs, now we're actually storing the data in a specially designed platform with all the security, electronic discovery, and that is actually form part of the can be used. It's a mixed. It can be used for fee earner. You got to document that this is something that is actually used both sides. Okay, both the fee earners as well as the protective shield. Right. So we stop here. Our project is actually work in progress. Before I move on, the next items I remember is I talk about the available technology, law firm digital practices. At this junction, can I actually ask my student Natasha to come and tell everyone what is happening this day in the real world?
We're at a really exciting time with law firms at the minute. We're seeing a lot of progression with digital transformation, and we're seeing that some have launched software which are helping predict clients' needs. So they're using data from firms' previous and current matters, as well as third-party sources to generate a prediction of future risks for clients, which would then be ranked based on likelihood. So this tool is creating this standardized response, which could be directly executed by lawyers and then submitted to clients. So that's just one example of how we're moving forward. But in addition, as another example, we're seeing that firms are now using machine learning to automate the contract review process. So it's doing things like detecting changes in law, material changes, and they're launching process workflows and document creation platforms. So this software is now giving lawyers the opportunity to code and offer tailored solutions for clients. And in particular, for us, it's really exciting at the minute because we're seeing that other universities are introducing legal technology modules. they're collaborating with software providers and law firms to make this well-rounded technology module that is allowing students to learn and understand how tech can be used to provide fast and accurate answers to common legal problems. So now, as we're moving through digital transformation, law firms, when they're coming to hire students, they're not only looking for students to be commercially aware, but they're looking for them to be aware of technology and aware of how we're moving and how the skills they have, which will be vital when these law technology modules are introduced.
Right. Yeah, that's very exciting, isn't it? That's actually tie in with our with what we are doing. The difference is actually we open to any law firm, not tie in one particular law firm, or certainly we should not tie in with any particular service provider, so that we actually have we can actually see a broader spectrum. So that is the good. But what is actually good is actually we would like to see whether we could actually do any cooperative work, and this is always good when we actually exchange ideas with organization outside the university. So that is actually very exciting. Now, I'm actually, Natasha, I would like to go back to the first point you mentioned about this. This firm is actually using. Now, what kind of data they're using? Are they using the data from their own clients, or they are using data from all their clients, or they're actually using data from the third parties? Because what we've been told that is actually the firm is actually using data to predict future, which is of course that is logical, that is important, that is actually tying with all the AI and machine learning aspect, because the machine can learn. You need to feed in the data, give them the experience. All right, so suddenly there's a lot of experienced lawyer turn up, but they all machine. All right, they could actually continue to learn. So what types of data they are using, Natasha?
Yeah, so they're using their own previous firm's data. They're using data they're currently using, and then they are looking at third-party data in some way to try and predict this. But obviously that, brings up other questions and other thoughts about, client data, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Well, I think we were very interested. We would like to find out, because if they are using the data, teaching the machine is actually getting more and more clever. The machines, their brain is not confined into this circle. They could learn better, quicker, and they go on to use this machine to serve another client. Now, if I were the previous clients, I would say, where's my share? I must have contribution. Can I have a share of your fees when you actually charge your new clients? So who's on the data? That's actually interesting. And also the confidentiality issue as well. That is actually very interesting. Right. I think that's good. Okay. This machine learning, how this technology apply? Is there any particular types of practice area? For example, if they say to do a contract review, you mentioned about contract review. Are they talking about cross-border contract review, complex documentation, or are they also applying to because when you talk about contract review, it looks to me is commercially related to business. How about the personal matter? For example, if I want to divorce my wife, for example, is there any technology, any robot can help me?
Yeah, so we've also seen at the minute that some law tech providers, startups, are developing software that is automating the divorce process. So it's using document automation for things like data capture, generating the legal documents, and they're also using things like secure online meeting rooms to handle, legal and procedural elements of the divorce. And it's it's a really poignant time because it's cheaper, it's making divorce, that kind of thing, a bit more hassle free than if you were having to do it, say, in person.
Yeah, I could see it. There's usefulness of it, because if you are actually in a situation of divorce, the whole thing has actually become emotional. And if you say everything is actually controlled by a machine, so you cannot complain against a machine. Okay, so a machine is a machine. So I could see there's some merit of getting the machine involved in your marriage. All right. Good. So yeah. So it seems that the law firm is actually, you mentioned that is a general trend, that is actually the law firm is actually embracing all this technology and to move forward, to reduce costs as well as meeting the client's needs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So according to our program, the next items is we look at development in specific areas. And the areas that we actually we chosen is AI, predictive coding. On this point, at this time, and this juncture, can I actually ask Terence to unmute? I think you actually got a set of slides to go through as well, isn't it? You explained about the meanings of predictive coding. What should I do? Shall I actually stop sharing that? Yeah? David,
yeah, Alan, if you stop sharing yours, then Turan can start sharing his, I think.
All right. So what is machine learning? As a right, machine learning comes under the umbrella of artificial intelligence, and the basic definition of it is that it uses algorithms to learn from previous examples and label them. And this could be an iterative cycle to use for prediction and analysis on given information. Machine learning has a wide umbrella of stuff that could cover as well. It has a lot of application across many fields, and I'll be focusing on its application in law. The usefulness of machine learning has been used quite a bit in barley yield analysis. There's quite a bit of studies showing machine learning as demonstrating how much yield a field of barley could have in different temperatures and a bunch of different conditions. So it has quite a bit of usefulness, stuff that general humans won't be able to calculate quite easily by themselves.
Next slide.
So what's machine learning got to do with the legal industry? It's been used quite a bit in the process of e-discovery, and that's mainly to do with finding electric-based information, which is for the courts and law firms as well. And it also uses, the machine learning could also be used for smart contracts, for programming such as blockchain and that is helpful with long chains of companies that interact with each other. And if there's a fault in one part of the chain or one part of the company, then it'll be a lot easier for the learning machine to pinpoint where the area of fault is, instead of human interaction trying to develop enough to find out where the issue may be, if that makes sense.
Okay, next slide.
So machine learning uses algorithms, and algorithms is a vague term and could mean a lot of things, but in the process of e-discovery, it has a general outline, which I bullet pointed. So there's a seed set, which they find the documentation that they need in electronic form, and they will select a few documents from that set, pretty much a sample set, and then they'll move on to step 2. They will organize that into responsive and unresponsive documents. So all the documents that would need interaction and won't need interaction, pretty much very standard stuff, mainly writing, and some of the stuff needs signatures and stuff like that. And then the machine starts generating a formula, or the humans will develop a formula for the machine to use, just to kind of get the ball rolling. And then moving on to step 4, the machine would use that sample and use it again and again and refine that sample. And then onto step 5 is they will look at everything. So out of the seed set, they'll look at all the documentation, and then it will start processing all that information by itself. The same process could be used for smart contracts with some alteration here and there, but that is the general structure. Yeah. So there are some holdbacks to predictive coding. Obviously, it's not perfect. No technology is, but some of the stuff some of those holdbacks is what's stopping the legal industry from actually utilizing this type of technology. And I've listed a few examples here. If you can see those, that random string of numbers and letters, that is the algorithm used for A-level graduation, like A-level grades. That's the algorithm that was used. And there was a scandal about that, as grades were being marked lower than they should have been, which caused quite a bit of public outcry. And obviously when there's public outcry like that, people aren't jumping at the bit to start using those sort of algorithms for the legal sector, which usually has a lot higher repercussions, could cost thousands, if not billions of dollars, or if it's used in any sort of litigation, could result in someone being tried guilty or a lot of evidence going missing. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is there's a myth that humans are better than machines. Like, there was a study, as I've put there, an evaluation on retrieval effectiveness on full text document retrieval system. It's a mouthful, but essentially what that showed is a series of documents, electronic documents, gone through by human beings, and all the information was picked out by the humans, and the same information picked out by a machine. And the humans decided that up to a point that they found roughly 75% of the relevant information, when in actual fact they've only found about 20% of the relevant information, which is quite a bit of information, 80% of information gone missing, and the human element doesn't even know that it missed out that much. They think that they found 75% of the information, whereas the machine found obviously all the relevant information. So if we're able to overcome this myth, then I think people will be more accepting of the technology. Number 4, technically unfamiliar. People don't like moving on to new technology. People don't like changing from one phone to another because they have to relearn everything. Same thing with the legal system. If they know something, like they know a system, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if we start training people and then they become more familiar with the technology, then I believe that they'll be more inclined to use the technology to its full advantage, instead of maybe cherry picking with some parts of e-discovery and stuff like that. And the last point is garbage in, garbage out. So if there's no quality information being put into the system, you're not going to get any quality information out. So if the algorithm is bad, then you're not going to get any good information. If the documents you're giving the algorithm isn't good, you're not going to get anything out. So you need to make sure that you are doing work of quality and stuff like that, just so you could get quality out of it. So you need to make sure you use the algorithm in very specific set of circumstances, which isn't great, but over time that should fix itself out with more information being fed into the algorithm, more information is going to be fed out, and it's going to learn for itself what it could and could not use.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. One more.
Okay. What next? What is next?
What's next? So obviously technology is getting better over time. iPhone's coming out with facial recognition. All the other phones are starting to become more technologically advanced. Not just phones, but everything has started to become more technologically advanced. Same thing goes for the legal system. So with the algorithm I spoke about earlier, they are hoping to cut out the seed set, so it won't need the human element either. It doesn't need to be told what to do. Hopefully it will start mimicking human brain functions and recognizing patterns and sentence structures and stuff like that, so that it will be able to apply the algorithm and label the documents a lot faster. And the faster it is, the more money it saves, the more time it saves for lawyers, the more resources. So it will just be better for everyone as soon as we could get the ball rolling, and one thing leads to another. Everyone's saving money, everyone's leaving the office earlier. That's it.
Okay, that's very interesting. Well, in fact, it's actually bring it to the to my last slide, or bring me to the last slide, which I remember is actually what work in progress. Okay, that is actually the last slide of the presentation. Okay.
Cue that up and share that one.
Is it this one? Well, I've been using it more than a year. of these. But having said that, I actually use
machine learning at the moment.
no, I've been using Teams for the last 12 months.
If you stop sharing that one, then you need to find different sites.
Anyway,
yeah, it's confusing. I got caught out as well, so it's
right. Well, there are too many. Anyway, all I can say is actually this actually brings to the concluding part of our presentation, of a hybrid discussion and things like that. So the next thing is actually say, have you got any questions that cover all the aspects we talk about? Just to do a quick recap, I introduced this evening event by talking about try to clarify the current hot topics about digitization, digitization, digital transformation. Try to clarify that. And then I introduced the concept of the meaning of digital transformation in the law firm. That is actually include the use of technology to serve your clients, and also use the technology to get yourself more competitive. Okay, and then there's a long list of available technologies. That list is actually growing all the time, because I'm actually looking into these subjects a few years ago, and it is surprise. Okay, so I believe that it will continue to grow. We will continues to have a discussion, debate, like the machine learning, like what Taran's saying, that garbage in, garbage out. So it seems that the technology is there. So there's still a lot of factors that you need to iron out and to improve it all the time. So this is a development process. And from Natasha report, it seems that the law firm is actually using the technology, not only confined to the large commercial practices, but you also deal with the more individual matters, personal matters. So it seems that we are witnessing a change. All right, and it seems that COVID-19 has actually improved it a lot. Although I still haven't learned about how to change share screen.
I've got a few questions that have come through on the Q&A panel, and I can see that Turan is trying to answer the first one, but we've got. Do you want me to read them out, and we go for them?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
And we've got the first one is from Alina, and she's asked: is computing required as a skill for pursuing a career in law?
Oh, yeah, the evidence is there, certainly. We are not asking. No, I don't know. I have to check with Natasha. The Natasha mentioned about the second law firm. They are actually saying that they developed something so that the lawyer can actually do the coding. Okay, because my initial reaction is actually yes, lawyers need to aware about the technology that's available to help them to do the work. But it is a different discipline, isn't it? The law firm is not hiding computer scientists to run the law firm, to conduct their business, to conduct the fee earners. But the boundary between a profession is getting blurred now. But certainly for those who's actually graduating it or trying to push or have aspiring solicitor or the solicitor themselves, certainly it is a skill that is well worth for you to acquire, at least to know the knowledge, at least to know what's the available technology.
Perfect. Alina, has that answered your question? I can allow you to talk if you wanted to answer, follow up. You raise your hand. I think if I can I can allow you to talk if I've just pressed the. There you go. You should be able to talk. Is your mic working? I can't tell whether Alina's able to come back on that, Alan. We'll come back to you, Alina, if we've got some tech. It seems the technical gremlins have walked into this one today anyway. So sorry about that. I'll mute you for now. I've got 2 more questions at the moment. One from an anonymous, but what's this one say? Would you say that lawyers need to become more tech savvy, or that tech specialists should be more involved in the legal sector?
Yeah, this is actually related to the first question, isn't it? We are looking for the profession is actually not only multitasking, it's actually multi-talent, multi-disciplined. Everything is multi now. You become all-rounder. All-rounder is not only talk about the lawyer in their respective practice areas. So it seems that the lawyers also need to be aware of the technology available around them. So to answer your question, the simple answer is yes, it's always useful to actually to have more skills that you have now, but you have to strike a balance. It is a balance between a jack in all trade or you become a specialist. All right. So there's always rooms for both types of career development. You could have someone who's actually know everything. You could also have someone who's actually specialized in certain area.
Perfect. Hopefully.
Did I answer the question? The actual answer is like a politician, isn't it? Am I?
I've got one more. So we've got one from Elizabeth. Do you have any recommendations on further reading for machine learning in relation to commercial property transactions? Now I can see that Turan's also typing an answer there, but did you get that one, Alan?
Yeah, I'm reading for machine learning.
Yeah.
Now, machine learning is a tool that can be applied into different practice areas. I would say that. Commercial property transaction. Now, it is commercial property. Maybe there's software available, but the principle is the same. You've got technology that can actually do the work. But at this stage, I do not believe that there's actually a technology saying that let the machine to do it, and then I don't need to worry about it. So it seems that you still need the human guidance, human intervention from time to time. And that is actually applied not only to commercial property transactions, but it's also applied to other disciplines as well. Certain standardized procedure, when you talk about commercial property transaction, standardized procedure like filling in the form, the TR1 form, or this filing with the office, filing it with the government office. Sorry, I just can't remember what it is. I mean, you know what is standard conveyancing exercise. There's a lot of paperwork you have to file. And certainly some types of machine automation can help. But your specific question is actually talk about machine learning. Machine learning means you try to replace a human brain with a machine. Now, not to my knowledge at the moment. Maybe there's other one. Is there any specific?
I have no more questions at the moment, but I think I've worked out how to unmute everyone, or at least allow you to talk. So if anyone has got any questions that they'd like to speak out, you can unmute. And well, hang on, I've got just one come up from Neil. do you see the growth of AI creating a more competitive legal sector where ultimately fee earners are replaced?
Well, a short answer to your question is actually not in my lifetime. Yeah, it's a progression. Whether the machine replace human being is always a discussion point, but I cannot see that. The machine is actually initially designed by human being, but certainly because the computer power is actually getting bigger and bigger. Now we actually talk about the new types of
quantum computing possible?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's the supercomputer in quantum computing. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So that's great. Thank you very much. Isn't it someone from us is saying that while we actually organize a evening session, the next date when all the pub is actually open?
Well, I guess when we arranged this, we didn't know that this was going to be the case, did we?
Oh, but we still got time.
Yeah, we still have time to rearrange it to be in the pub. Yes. So apologies if anyone has missed out on. Oh, hang on. There's got somebody else asked a question. Yeah, we got another. Will AI involvement in significant loss of life stop AI? Do I understand what that?
Livestock AI. What? Perhaps you could actually expand on that one.
Yeah. Neil, are you able to speak that one? Have you? Not quite sure what you mean.
Is it the new generation AI is actually fighting against the old generation, trying to destroy the old generation? Is it?
Neil, would you like to clarify that in the chat, or?
But it's very interesting. That is actually, yeah, we talk about the development of a certain technology on its own today, but it seems the technology itself is actually developing, generating a new generation. Ethical issue. Yeah. There's a lot of question. Ethical issue. A lot of debate. In fact, I prefer now certainly deal with ethical issues will be organization or bodies like the SRA, the Solicitor Regulation Authority, and also the government. They should come up with certain guidelines that should actually regulate the use of AI.
I'm it's added into chats where there is AI used in traffic management, for example, and it causes a large accident. And I guess part of this may be autonomous cars and traffic lights.
I would actually draw an analogy. For example, if you actually got a train, okay, the train is actually can help human beings travel from one place to the other. Normally, it's actually very efficient, very safe. But if there's any accident, it will be a disaster. Like the aeroplane, if the aeroplane is actually dropped down, so that's a disaster. So that's certainly valid. That saying that you got a bigger accident. But again, it's a balance. Whether you say, well, it's actually got its merits to continue to serve the human beings. And we just have to be from the human being side. We need to continue to develop to protect ourselves, to be to avoid any possible risk that could happen. Topic versus AI. Wow, that's the question become more and more philosophical. It's beyond me.
Oh, so we got
this sort of debate will continue, and that's all very valid. Yeah. The one I actually mentioned is actually I would like to have these professional bodies, SRAs or governments, consider all these factors and give us the guideline so that the user, i.e. the lawyer's client, the lawyers, and the AI developer, the technologists, they could actually come up following the guideline, and that was actually help the development, and that should be beneficial from all parties' point of view, and try to avoid any large accident.
Yeah.
That the government is not involved. Now, I will actually answer this. I will actually say it's no. It is actually to a certain extent become a barrier. So, in fact, my philosophy is actually I will actually welcome the governing body like SRH, solicitor regulation, of course, come up with lists of you can do this, you cannot do this. Prefer that so that we know where to go. What we don't want is actually at the moment it seems that they don't know what to do. Okay, they always think that technology is good things, but at the same time, like you say, you have the ethical issue. So they always fall behind. So we end up with technology being continues to develop. Lawyers have actually been using it. And then the governing body just say, well, we give we more or less sit on the fence, we wait and see. And if we actually got accident, we actually go back and say, you should not do that. So, to answer your question, I don't think the government is actually engaging enough. That's my theory.
Okay, we've got one more from Louisa.
That's the solution, isn't it? Replace the government with AI.
There's a Q&A from Louisa in the Q&A panel. She says, feels that the legal industry are using technology that's still in development to get an edge and sound like they are futurists, but I wonder if this is really solving a real problem or creating new ones. She says, you mentioned personal data usage, but Larissa, have you got anything else to that?
Sorry, could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Yes, sorry. I was actually going to say a little bit more, but unfortunately I clicked enter and it went off. But yeah, no, I was literally just, you did mention the use of personal information, and you've just talked about governments and governing bodies. But I just feel this is a bit of a difficult area at the moment, because yes, there aren't any sort of clear guidance. There isn't any clear guidance, so where we have to tread carefully, I think. Maybe that's all.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Yes.
Good. Right, we are fast approaching our 8 o'clock cut-off time, but no, I thank everyone for your questions, for your attendance, and hopefully you've all learned something new today. And I must say thank you very much to Dr. Alan Moore, Natasha, and Turan for spending this last couple of hours with us, and talking about the use of technology in the legal sector. And there were a couple of things. Alan, yes, it really is a year. It's a year since your last talk, and it's flown by. I'm just glad it's gone, that last year. We need to get back to some level of normality, and I'm sure everyone's hoping that too. this is just open some more questions from my perspective around not just the use of technology in the legal sector, but the use of technology in general, and how we can use technology to help us find solutions to problems. And as you said, it's not something that we can do away with the human being. We always need human beings to make that final decision, and even to guide the computer into what they need to be thinking about. So yes, it's been a very interesting talk. So thank you very much to yourself, Alan, and Natasha and Phil. Thank you very much. I wish you all a very pleasant evening.
Bye bye. Thank you very much. Yeah.